47 seconds ago, Adam Schiff did something in the Senate Intelligence Committee chamber that will fundamentally alter the American intelligence landscape forever. He opened a manila folder marked with red classification stripes, positioned it directly in front of the C-SPAN camera so millions could see the FBI letterhead and official seal, and began reading a document that FBI Director Patel had just testified under oath did not exist. The folder contained an internal FBI memorandum dated the 3rd of November, 2025, authored and digitally signed by Patel himself, ordering the immediate deletion of 2.4 terabytes of counterintelligence data related to foreign influence operations targeting the 2024 presidential transition period. But that is not what made Patel's face drain of all color in 3 visible seconds captured by every camera in that room. What made his hands start trembling was the second document Schiff pulled from the folder, a witness protection agreement bearing Patel's personal authorization signature, granting emergency classified status and FBI security detail to an individual whose name appears 47 times in the deleted intelligence files. Michael Flynn. The hearing was scheduled as routine oversight, annual budget discussions, standard operational briefings, the kind of session where senators ask prepared questions and FBI directors provide rehearsed answers designed to reveal nothing while appearing transparent. Patel arrived at 9:47 a.m., exactly 13 minutes early, flanked by 4 FBI attorneys whose leather briefcases contained pre-approved responses to every anticipated question. The first 2 hours proceeded exactly as his legal team had scripted. Republican senators praised his leadership, cited arrest statistics, commended his hardline stance on immigration enforcement. Democratic senators pressed on controversial topics, the abrupt reassignment of 1,200 counterintelligence agents, the firing of 14 senior FBI officials, the systematic denial of security clearance renewals for career agents who had criticized the previous Trump administration. But Patel deflected each challenge with bureaucratic precision, claiming personnel decisions were based on operational efficiency, citing ongoing investigations that prevented detailed disclosure, invoking privacy protections and national security protocols. At 11:53 a.m., Chairman Mark Warner recognized Senator Adam Schiff for his allotted questioning time. The room's energy shifted immediately because everyone present understood that Schiff didn't ask questions unless he already possessed the answers. And he didn't bring documents to hearings unless those documents would destroy someone's career. Schiff is a former federal prosecutor who spent years building RICO cases against organized crime networks, a congressman who served as lead impeachment manager against a sitting president, a senator who had spent 6 weeks preparing for exactly this moment with methodical precision. The manila folder sat on his desk, visible but closed, red classification markings clearly identifiable. Patel saw it, his eyes tracking to the folder for just 1 second before returning to Schiff's face, and trained observers could see the micro-expression of concern flash across Patel's features. Director Patel, Schiff began, his voice carrying the calm, measured tone of someone who has already won. I want to ask you about FBI data management practices, specifically regarding the preservation of counterintelligence materials. Patel's left hand moved to adjust his tie, a self-soothing gesture indicating psychological stress. Of course, Senator, the FBI maintains the most rigorous data security and preservation protocols in the federal government. Excellent, Schiff said, and there was something in that single word that made every person in that chamber understand that Patel had just walked directly into the trap. So you would agree that the FBI has systems in place to prevent the unauthorized deletion of classified counterintelligence data? Patel nodded, still projecting confidence he would lose in approximately 40 seconds. Absolutely, we have multiple redundant backup systems, strict access controls, and comprehensive audit trails. It would be virtually impossible for significant amounts of classified intelligence to be deleted without proper authorization and documentation. Virtually impossible, Schiff repeated slowly. And if such a deletion did occur, there would be clear records showing who authorized it. Correct. Correct, Patel confirmed. Every action in our classified systems requires digital authentication, and those authentication logs are preserved indefinitely. Schiff opened his folder with theatrical precision. Director Patel, are you familiar with FBI Data Management Report, number DM-2025-1847, dated the 4th of November 2025? Patel's face showed the first visible sign of genuine concern, his eyebrows drawing together, his mouth opening before closing again. Senator, without seeing the specific document, I can't comment on individual internal reports. Let me refresh your memory, Schiff interrupted, holding up a document bearing official FBI letterhead, classification markings clearly visible. This is an internal memorandum sent to you on the 4th of November by FBI Chief Information Security Officer, Dr. Jennifer Martinez. Subject line, critical data loss incident requiring immediate executive attention. The room went completely silent. Schiff began reading, his voice clear and precise. Quote, Director Patel, I am writing to inform you of an unprecedented data loss incident that occurred between the 2nd of November and the 3rd of November, 2025. Approximately 2.4 terabytes of classified counterintelligence data were permanently deleted from FBI primary servers using administrative override protocols that require director-level authorization. The deleted materials include 847 counterintelligence case files related to foreign influence operations during the 2024 presidential transition period, 2,341 intercepted communications between foreign intelligence operatives and U.S. persons of interest, 18,492 financial transaction records flagged for potential FARA violations, and 673 witness interview transcripts. Director Patel, this deletion was executed using your personal authorization code FBI-RHAP negative 7734, initiated from your office terminal at 2:47 a.m. on the 3rd of November. This represents the largest unexplained loss of classified intelligence in FBI history. Signed, Dr. Jennifer Martinez, Chief Information Security Officer, end quote. The impact was instantaneous and devastating. Patel's face went from its normal complexion to visibly pale in 3 seconds, the color draining so dramatically that even the press gallery could see it. His hands began to tremble visibly, a shake that started small but grew more pronounced. One of his attorneys leaned in to whisper urgent advice, but Patel seemed unable to process anything, his eyes fixed on Schiff with an expression combining shock, panic, and terrible realization. Director Patel, Schiff continued, would you like to explain why 2.4 terabytes of classified counterintelligence data were deleted using your personal authorization code in the middle of the night? Patel's mouth opened, but no words emerged initially. His left hand moved to his water glass, and when he lifted it to drink, the trembling was so pronounced that water sloshed over the rim, spilling onto the witness table in a way that every camera captured. Senator, Patel finally managed, his voice barely recognizable. I don't have personal knowledge of every technical system operation, and I would need to review the specific circumstances. You don't have personal knowledge. Schiff's voice rose with genuine incredulity. This memo states explicitly that the deletion was executed using your authorization code from your office terminal at 2:47 in the morning. Are you telling this committee that someone else was in your office at 2:47 a.m. using your credentials? Patel looked desperately at his attorneys. Senator, there could be technical explanations for how authorization codes are utilized in automated processes. Let me make this simpler. Schiff interrupted, pulling a second document from his folder. This is FBI headquarters security access log for the 2nd of November and 3rd, 2025. According to this official record, you personally entered FBI headquarters at 11:34 p.m. on the 2nd of November, accessed the director's office suite at 11:41 p.m., remained in the building with no other personnel present on the 7th floor, and exited at 4:18 a.m. on the 3rd of November. The data deletion occurred at 2:47 a.m. You were alone in your office when 2.4 terabytes of classified counterintelligence data were permanently deleted using your authorization code. The trap was complete and inescapable. Patel sat frozen, his face glistening with visible perspiration, his hands trembling so badly that he clasped them together on the table, his breathing audibly rapid. Senator, I may have been working late that night, but the specific technical operations are handled by specialized personnel, routine archival processes. Schiff's voice carried barely contained fury. Director, let me read you one more thing. Quote, this deletion utilized emergency override protocols specifically designed to bypass all standard preservation safeguards. The deleted data is permanently unrecoverable. This action required manual disabling of 6 separate backup systems and explicit confirmation at 3 separate verification points. This was not automated. This was a deliberate manual deletion requiring active human intervention at multiple stages. End quote. Schiff leaned forward, ice cold. Director Patel, that doesn't sound routine. That sounds like someone deliberately destroyed classified counterintelligence data in the middle of the night while alone in the FBI building. So I'm going to ask you one more time, why did you delete 2.4 terabytes of classified counterintelligence files related to foreign influence operations at 12:07 p.m.? Exactly 14 minutes into Schiff's questioning, Kash Patel completely lost his composure. Senator, this is outrageous. Patel's voice cracked with panic and desperate anger. You are taking internal communications completely out of context and weaponizing routine procedures to create a false narrative context. Schiff cut him off sharply. Let me give you context. Let me tell you what was in those 2.4 terabytes. He pulled out a third document. Counterintelligence case file, CI-2024-8847. Investigation into undisclosed foreign contacts by presidential transition team members. Case file CI-2024-9103. Intercepted communications between Russian intelligence operatives and U.S. political consultants. Case file CI-2024-9847. Financial intelligence reports on unexplained transfers from foreign entities to domestic political organizations during the transition. With each case file number, Patel seemed to shrink further. And here is the most interesting part. Schiff continued, holding up a fourth document. This is a witness protection authorization form, signed by you personally on the 1st of November, 2025, granting emergency classified witness status and FBI security detail to Michael Flynn. The name detonated like a bomb. Michael Flynn, Trump's former national security advisor, convicted of lying to the FBI about Russian contacts, pardoned by Trump. Director Patel, Schiff said, Michael Flynn's name appears 47 times in the counterintelligence files you deleted 2 days after granting him FBI witness protection. So let me ask you directly, did you delete classified counterintelligence data to protect Michael Flynn and others connected to foreign influence operations? Patel tried to stand his chair scraping loudly, his face contorted with rage and panic. I will not sit here and allow you to impugn my integrity with these baseless conspiracy theories. Sit down, Director Chairman Warner's voice thundered. Patel sat immediately, hands visibly shaking. Schiff wasn't finished. Let me tell you what I think happened. During the presidential transition, the FBI's counterintelligence division was conducting legitimate investigations into foreign influence operations. Those investigations documented concerning patterns of communication with foreign intelligence services. When you became FBI director, you were instructed to make those investigations disappear. You systematically destroyed evidence to protect powerful people, and you granted Michael Flynn FBI witness protection to ensure his cooperation in keeping quiet. The chamber erupted. Schiff pulled out one final document, Director Patel. I want to read you an email sent by FBI Deputy Director Paul Abate on the 28th of October, 2025, 5 days before the deletion. Quote, Cash, I need to strongly advise against any action to compromise ongoing counterintelligence investigations. The CI division has developed substantial evidence of FARA violations and potential espionage activities. Any interference would constitute obstruction. I am formally documenting my opposition to any proposed data modifications. Paul Abate, Deputy Director, end quote. Schiff looked directly at Patel with cold fury. Your own Deputy Director warned you that deleting these files would constitute obstruction. You did it anyway. That is not data management, Director. That is obstruction of justice. Patel sat motionless, unable to respond. I move that all documents be entered into the congressional record, Schiff said, and I formally request that the Department of Justice open an immediate investigation into potential obstruction of justice, destruction of evidence, and violations of federal records preservation laws. Within minutes, video clips of Patel's breakdown went viral. His trembling hands, his drained face, his inability to provide coherent answers. News networks interrupted programming. FBI director caught deleting counterintelligence files. Legal experts called it the most damning congressional testimony ever witnessed. Within hours, FBI whistleblowers came forward. The DOJ Inspector General announced a criminal investigation. Republican senators called for Patel's resignation, and the White House refused to comment, a telling silence that Washington recognized as preparation to cut loose a liability. Sometimes accountability just requires a prosecutor with a manila folder, the patience to build an inescapable trap, and the courage to ask simple questions that have no answers. Adam Schiff had asked those questions. Kash Patel had none. And in 47 seconds, the most brazen obstruction of counterintelligence investigations in FBI history had been exposed. Destroyed not by partisan politics, but by documented actions and complete inability to explain why he sat alone in the FBI building at 2:47 a.m. systematically deleting evidence of foreign influence operations. 2 days after granting Michael Flynn FBI witness protection,